you are being accused of planning what happened last Wednesday, being part of the planning and inciting what happened last Wednesday in the Capitol. Tell us all about your planning process. Sorry.
Well, first of all, the biggest part was it was so secret that not even I knew that I was part of the secret planning process.
Wow.
That's how secret that was. I have no idea. I really don't know what they're talking about. So I was I was focused on getting people to speak and trying to get senators to join us in the objection and trying to get documents to introduce as evidence. That's what I was doing. So I was kind of surprised to hear that, actually.
But, you've not only been blamed for that, you've also been blamed, Congressman Andy Biggs, for spreading the COVID around the Capitol. 2 Democrats have tested positive. They're pointing fingers at you and some other Republicans saying you refused to wear masks and all the turmoil that was going on. So, man, you are really making some rounds for the liberals. They're really getting ticked off at you.
I had no idea I was so powerful. I really didn't. It's amazing. No, I mean, seriously, we're sitting there, and the lady comes up, and there's a small huddle of us. We're trying to be away from everybody else. I don't have COVID. I didn't have COVID. I didn't have it before. I didn't have it at the time. I don't have it now. There's no way I could spread COVID unless it was bouncing off me to somebody else. I'm the rubber, you're the glue, whatever I say bounces off me and sticks to you. And then this lady comes over and leans into my face and says, "Will you put a mask on?" I said, "You're violating my social distance space." And this is really, it's insane. And now Nancy Pelosi is well, not only that, think about this. It wasn't like there were no Democrats that were without masks, at least part of the time. I went back in there. They're eating in this room full of people. And, there's a lot of stuff that flies out with some of those people when they eat. But the point is, I didn't give anybody the COVID. How about Nancy Pelosi bringing some people who tested positive to COVID onto the floor because she thought she was going to lose the vote for Speaker? And she brought them in and said, "Why don't you guys come on down to the floor and vote for me?" And maybe those Democrats, since they were hanging out with the Democrats, and it's Democrats who are sick now, maybe, just maybe, after the gestational period of the virus went, it was those Democrats got it from the people who had it that were brought back to vote for Nancy Pelosi.
No, now, listen, please, Congressman Andy Biggs. We're talking about Democratic Representative Jayapal, who tweeted out, "I just received a positive COVID-19 test after being locked down in a secured room in the Capitol where several Republicans not only cruelly refused to wear a mask, but recklessly mocked colleagues and staff who offered them one." Then the video surfaced of her during the events of Wednesday running around without a mask on herself. So it was definitely you. It was definitely you and your Republican colleagues that gave it to her, not her running around without a mask previously and being locked down.
Well, I have to say, I take umbrage with at least one part of that. When she says we recklessly mocked that person, that's not true. There was nothing reckless about our mocking. Not at all.
We love it. Congressman Andy Biggs, though, Mike said the other day, Democrats often overplay their hand. So tonight, the House is going to talk about the 25th Amendment, this amendment which supposedly can use to remove President Trump from office. That's kind of a show vote. And then tomorrow, the expected impeachment hearing vote gets underway. Where are you at on both of those things?
I'm a hard no, is what we like to say in the business over here. No, this really is probably the most ludicrous thing I've seen. So think about this. The 25th Amendment, by the way, the same guy who introduced this version of it introduced another version of it 3 months ago. So it isn't like he's been sitting around that night. Let's do it again. This guy really wants to use the 25th Amendment. And what he does, though, is instead of using it the way the Constitution envisions, which is if Congress wants him out, you could do a commission. That's what his one in October did. But this one says, "Hey, Mr. Vice President, we want you to organize the cabinet and get rid of the president." And that's idiotic. we're a week away from the transition of power. The president acknowledges that Biden is the president-elect. The president acknowledges that he's leaving. He said we're going to have a peaceful transfer of power. But for some reason, and you saw Chuck Schumer losing his cool today, talking about we can't afford one more day of Donald Trump as president. It's absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
Well, the Senate and Congress might not be able to afford another day with President Trump as president because they want the Biden tax increases to take effect as quickly as they can. So maybe that is a statement of truth. But there are reports that up to 10 Republicans are looking to vote yes on an impeachment vote. Is this just political wrangling, knowing it's going to go through? Maybe they're in a contested district?
No, there are probably a good 10 people who are mad at Trump. They want to punish him. I would expect more than that on the 25th Amendment thing, since everybody knows that doesn't do anything. They can make a statement on that. I suspect it's probably about 20 or 25 that'll vote, maybe as high as 40, but probably closer to 20 on that on the 25th Amendment one. And then tomorrow be closer to 8 to 10 join Democrats.
Which obviously is enough to get it passed just on Democrat votes, so there's politics involved in that, which we can weigh on at a later date. But I do want to ask you about the censorship that's going on the social media platforms and big tech, sort of exercising their power. And it seems that it's quite a bit of power, perhaps too much power. What repercussions can there be for these companies, Congressman?
First of all, we should have broken them up through antitrust laws. The way they're behaving now, they're gobbling up competition and trying to prevent any competitors from surviving. So that's an antitrust issue. We should have done something with Section 230. You really don't have to do anything with Section 230, but the Department of Justice should have been going after them under Section 230 authority. So those things should have happened. What the consumer can do, and what, quite frankly, what we're trying to, and we're debating in my offices, as are most offices, is moving off of Twitter, moving out of Facebook, moving over to WeMe, moving over to Rumble and Gab and Parler. All of these, moving off those monopolistic left-wing censorship type of models, moving over to the other side. It's still going to take some time to get that up, but I think more and more of my colleagues are willing to do that now, whereas when I first got on Parler, I think they told me I was the third or fourth member of Congress to get on Parler, and we couldn't get anybody else to come with us on Parler, really, but now they're all starting to move over.
Now, let's, Congressman Andy Biggs, ask probably the question from all of us normal folks that watched all of this on TV, watched the heads of tech get pulled before Congress, get pulled before the Senate. Why did that even happen if nothing happened?
I think I tried to make this point clear at the time that this was all theater, that there was no will amongst the Democrats or Republicans here to do anything. Now, I think that there's a small group of Democrats that agree with the Republicans, including, I think Jayapal even agrees that we have to do something with these folks to rein them in. But the leadership of the Democrats, think of it where Nancy Pelosi is from. She's from San Francisco, the Bay Area, where Eric Swalwell's from. These guys aren't going to do anything to hinder their local major industry, which is providing them with all kinds of financial support and their votes. So the reality is, it will take the American people making their voices loud and clear to get something done.